The road once again, this time heading back to New Zealand where this group is based. It is Group C. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just introduce you to our guests. Why should I say that? A co-host, I should really say. The gang is back together, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time since the WSL season finished. Lottie, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. We've got just under 21 days until we go. Can't wait. Well, 21 days till kickoff, and only 18 till our first show for the World Cup. Really excited. Obviously, we'll have our fourth co-host joining us, which I'm really excited about because she's one of my closest friends. But yeah, no, it's nice to have the gang back together.
Yes, and just going on that, he is back from his travels, trying to avoid all those poverty pings and the whines. Adam Salter, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yes, I'm back from Wales. It was an amazing 2 weeks of sun, relaxation, climbing, castles and steam trains, and I was in a place where the internet bandwidth was even worse than where I am at the moment. But luckily I was still able to do a bit of content whilst I was up there. But glad to be back on the pod. Glad to be discussing the upcoming World Cup with you two. Awful lot to pick through, and we'll see how it goes. Also, not wishing to be part of the Wales Tourism Board, but if you want to go on holiday, I thoroughly recommend North Wales. It's a great place to have a holiday,
especially when you've got the weather.
Oh, the weather was superb. 2 days of sunshine, 2 weeks of sunshine rather. It was superb.
Let's just leave it at that then. So we'll go straight into it. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about one previous champion, Japan. They're ever present at the World Cup. This is always there. They've made it into the last 16, losing to England, Group D, and Netherlands last 16 last time around in 2019. But having only lost to England in the group stage as well. Lieke Martens for the Netherlands scoring the brace to defeat Japan that time around. However, the best finish, as I've mentioned, was 2011. They won the tournament in Germany. They finished second in the group. Oddly enough, who did they finish second to in that group? England. They beat Germany 1-0 in extra time in that tournament. They won 3-1 against Sweden, and then they beat the US on penalties. That is the last time the US have lost a final. Let that sink in.
I remember rightly, it was their captain Saki Kumagai buried that last penalty pass Hope Solo just to clinch it. I think what's funny about that as well, that was the year they had the earthquake and tsunami, and they were going to pull out the tournament. Little did they know they would take their national team and play and their place in the lore of the football universe.
There's one thing you can guarantee at the World Cup, it's that England and Japan will face each other at some point. We faced them in 2007. It was a 2-2 draw, bit of K-Smith brace. But they equalised late free kick. We had obviously 2011 when we beat them. We had 2015 where they beat us, and then 2019 where we beat them. So it stands to reason that we'll face them if we get out of the group and they get out of the group. It stands to reason we'll meet in the knockout stage because it's one of the inevitabilities of football. But yeah, Japan were a great team. Well, I say we're a great team. They are a great team, but yes, they've had glories. Won the World Cup. That was the first World Cup I watched actually in full. 2011. That was the first time I actually watched England at the World Cup, and that final, Japan versus USA, is a classic. If you can get hold of the highlights, it's worth watching back. It's a terrific game.
Oddly enough, that game is actually finally. I think I just tuned into the last minute of that game, and it was getting towards the penalties, and Japan had just equalised in the last minute. Oddly, funny things happen when it's almost like a go back to this season, but we won't mention that anymore because we're tired of sitting around being just short for ourselves. Anyway, a very interesting fact: Japan have only got 8 players in their World Cup squad that are playing over outside of Japan. So just rack them off. All the goalkeepers play in Japan: Aoki Yamashita, Chika Hararo, Momoko Tanaka, Saki Kumagai plays for Roma, Hikaru Namoto, Mina Takanda, Shiru Makayaka, Rizu Shimizu of West Ham, Kiku Siaki, Yapi Mairaya, Yuhazi Gawa of...
Yui Hasagawa.
There we go. Thank you. I always get it's my writing, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yui Hasegawa of Man City, Hina Sugita of Portland Thorns, Honaka Hayashi of West Ham again, Moka Minami of Roma again, and Fuka Nagano of
Nagano.
Yeah, thank you.
From Liverpool.
See, we always do apologise if we do offend people for this.
Fuka Nagano,
Yeah.
Ramina Shibawi, Riko of Kaviki, Hinta Miyakazawa, Hana Takayashi, Jun Endo of Angel City, Brian Izak Akawawa, Alba Fujino, Mikia, and Hamano, who will be with Chelsea next season.
Maika Hamano.
Maika Hamano. Oh my gosh, she's had a brilliant season over in the Dalmasvenskan league in Sweden. She's had a very good season. Chelsea have got a very good side in. Oh my god. She's very only 18 as well, which is scary.
Yeah. She's 18 going on. It's going to be interesting to watch her. You actually, Chelsea next season, you say. So we'll actually get. She's got the world stage to entertain us, and she could come back.
And definitely, I mean, with Hammerby Adam, she's this season she's had 17 games, 10 goals. She's been to the under-20s World Cup. They finished second, and she's got player of the tournament as well as the Golden Boot. So I think she's going to be up for this tournament if she gets the minutes from Futoshi Ikeda, who's the coach.
Futoshi Ikeda,
really seriously one player to watch for sure.
That's interesting because I was thinking, sometimes in these World Cups, it's good to have a wild card. You know, someone young off the bench you could bring up. You think of the men's team like Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney and players like that. You think in 2015 when we brought Frank Kirby off the bench and got that moniker of Mini Messi and all the things that went along with that. I didn't know anything about her, but I'm glad you've told me about her because now I'm really excited and can't wait to see her play.
I know she's coming to Chelsea. I've got an excuse to watch the Chelsea games, but normally I wouldn't bother.
Oh no!
But if it's for a specific player, I will do it. So
we'll wait and see because the transfer window is officially open. So we will be talking about that later down the line. But for now, World Cup. So obviously, just told you about the team. Is there any? Obviously, there's one player that I think we can all probably talk about to our heart's content that isn't made it there.
Well, yes, but
yes, and that is because and I am going to blame them for this. That is because of Tottenham bloody Hotspur not utilising her properly, and Arsenal bloody loaning her in the first place. I am absolutely gutted for Mano Iwabuchi. I can talk about that women's football skills for hours. But unfortunately, she's not going, and it's a little bit weird because I expect her name to be down on that team sheet. I don't know about you boys.
I didn't. I'll be brutally honest. I didn't expect her because I think you have to be. There has to be an element of you have to be there on merit. And unfortunately, if you've not played, let's be frank, Mano Bucci has not played for a year, pretty effectively.
Yeah.
And on that basis, you can't justify bringing a player along to a major tournament if they've done. There are other Japanese players who would have definitely have accumulated more minutes than Mano Bucci this season. It'd be unfair.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like, although.
Carry on.
No. Although it's like been the off season of the NWSL, if you just look across them at the moment, June Endo at Angel City and Hien Sugita at Portland Thorns, who are now my new adopted team, they're having brilliant seasons so far, and they're racking up their minutes that way because obviously the season over in the NWSL runs a bit differently. I mean, the Sweden season's coming to an end. Swedish leagues are coming to an end soon. It seems like the English leagues are the first ones to finish, while everybody else is finishing off or getting started.
Yeah, no, and I think with Mana, it's a tragic shame. Her signing for Arsenal has been a tragedy. She arrived at the wrong time to play for the wrong manager, and she never really got a game. She had injury problems. People really talked her up and saying, "Oh, this is a really exciting player. She's going to be really good for Arsenal." I thought, "Oh, okay," because we just obviously lost Jill Roord and Danielle van der Donk in that same summer. So you're thinking, okay, well, one decent player out, one decent player in. It hasn't quite happened. I don't think she's definitely not a Jonas player. She's more, I'd say she's more individual technical rather than high energy pressing. And it's just been almost like a left shoe on the right foot. It just hasn't fitted. And she had to go to Spurs because that's the exit room. That's where you go when you're on the way out at Arsenal. You get loaned to Spurs. You know that's not. And Spurs, they had no obligation to play her or not play her.
Oh no, of course not. Of course not. But how do you justify benching her level of talent?
Well,
and I think that's probably just me being Arsenal biased, and I will always back our players. And again, my opinion of her not being on this is not coming from an Arsenal point of view. But I understand why she's not there. As you just explained, I already understood that, but I was just saying, like, just let the Arsenal take over here. I know we're meant to have our international hat on, but I've always defended every single one of our players, no matter how bad they've been or whatever. I know it hasn't started well for Lena Hurtig, but I will still defend her because she's one of ours. End of story.
And it's why I'm glad that Iwabuchi's leaving Arsenal, has left Arsenal. I'm really happy to exhibit such positivity and plays with that sort of smile on her face that we've never seen. And I want to see her play happy and positively, and whether that means going back to Bayern Munich or going back to Japan or another club, because she is a talented player. She's an experienced player, talented player. She actually won the World Cup with Japan when they actually won it. In 2011, she deserves a team that will actually play her and play to her strengths. So we wish her all the best. And it is a shame that she's not going, but I think she's not going for the same reason that Steph Horton didn't go to the Euros. If you don't play for a whole year, you can't justify not going. You can't go to a tournament. It's just not fair.
Exactly, and that's exactly why Steph Horton didn't go to the Euros last summer, amongst other things, obviously, and. She hasn't even had a look in, but we'll discuss that in the next episode because we're meant to be looking at Group C. I think
it's a nice little trailer for the next one.
Wind it back.
No, definitely. I mean, I think I'm really looking forward to people like June Endo, Hien Sugita, Fuka Nagano. She's absolutely shone since arriving at Liverpool in January. Yui Hasegawa.
I mean, that's the player
just always a fan favourite, even if you're a neutral fan. It's one player you want to watch to play for Japan. But there's so many big names in there and there's so much new talent coming through. I think at the moment they've got a perfect balance for me personally of that experience and of that new first time performances on the pitch. It's a bit like they're like a crucial stage of the life cycle and they're hungry to reach the latter stages of the tournament. But you look back at France, and it was disappointing because they made the two previous finals before that.
The France tournament was weird. They got to it was the last 16 and then lost to the Netherlands. It was really weird tournament for them. Massive drop off. So hopefully they can do better this time.
So how do you two think they're going to finish? Are they going to finish the group quite strong? Do you think that there's going to be any difficulties in this group for them? Or
I
how
think-
far can they go? Do you think they can go overall?
I think for me personally, or with this team on paper, is a semi-finalist at minimum. On paper, minimum is a semi-finalist for me. But the real question is, could they be looking at their first trophy since 2018? And can they pull it together to get that far for me? And that is the question that's been hanging over me most of the afternoon when thinking about this team and just before the pod. So I think semi-finals at the minimum. They will top the group for me.
I top the group ahead of Spain.
Yep.
I
will explain my reasons why.
No, I'm looking forward to that. That's good. I like that. I like the idea. I think Japan are a bit of a mystery for me because they've a lot of players obviously won it in 2011. I think they've sort of bleeded out of the team. We've got younger players fitting in. Bit of transition. I think they'll make the knockout stages. Not sure about top of the group, but definitely out of the group. I think quarterfinals. I don't see. I can't see them winning it, and I can't see semi-final. But I think they'll go deep into the knockout rounds. Unfortunately, I don't know how the things lined up. The structure. I don't know how people can match up in the knockout rounds. But I think if they got to the quarterfinals, I think they can say, yeah, good tournament. We improved on the last showing where they were knocked out by the Netherlands. Worth watching the game back for Lieke Martin's first goal, by the way. It's a brilliant backheel flip from a corner. Really worth watching. And Hasegawa scored in that one as well. Before we knew who Hasegawa was. I think quarterfinals for me. That's my prediction for Japan. And if they did that, I think that's a perfectly decent tournament attempt. I'll say, quarterfinals. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Where do you think they're going to finish in the group, Adam?
Oh, in the group. Well, given, and we'll get to in a minute. Given who I've been speaking to recently, I have to say second.
Not bad.
I think second, but I think it'll be close. I don't think it'll be, a rubber. I think Japan. My prediction is Spain to top the group, but I think Japan will push them.
Be interesting.
Matt?
Well, I think I'll agree with Lottie. I think they're going to top the group. I will talk about Spain a bit later on, but we'll go on to our next team. It's their second appearance at the World Cup. Costa Rica. The last time that they appeared, it was in 2015. They finished third in the group. Only got 2 draws, so 2 points on the board. They scored 3 goals, conceded 4. So had they won their games, there was a possibility that they could have gone through. There was also the opportunity, had they finished without that minus goal, they could have gone through as one of the best of the rest because at that time.
Best place. There was a third place finish. It's not anymore because they've expanded the 30 teams. It used to be the best third place finishers will get through.
Mm-hmm.
So just a little bit more information. They qualified by finishing in the CONCACAF Championships in Group B and then finishing overall 4th in that competition last year. They once again face Spain. Last time out, an Arsenal player scored, or former Arsenal player scored.
Yes, Nicky Lozada.
Thank you for putting that on there. And Raquel Rodriguez equalised in the 1-1 draw in Montreal in 2015.
Yeah, that was their first World Cup goal, which was like, I've seen that goal, and it's a nice goal.
It's a minute later, literally after going behind, they got an immediate equaliser, which is quite impressive. It is quite interesting that they draw Spain again.
Especially with a team like Spain, and you've just got their manager taking over before everything else has happened. Well, I think that's really impressive.
I know we're going to move on to Spain in a minute, but I just want to say that was the last tournament for the previous Spanish coach, which was before Jorge Vilda took over. It was actually after that tournament, 2015.
Sorry, I do apologise. I know there was a crossover somewhere there. I was like,
Yeah. Trying to open fire on the Spain stuff.
Yeah.
So
we'll get onto this when we do Spain, but
news / interesting point of view. They actually do have a competition just before the World Cup, the Central American and Caribbean Games, is being held just before the World Cup. They place Guatemala, Haiti, and Venezuela. Should they qualify for the top two, the semi-final will be on the 5th of July, and then the final or their playoff will be on the 7th of July, and then they have a friendly against South Africa on the 15th of July. It's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games, but it's also a very good warm-up. I think the South Africa one's going to be interesting because obviously they're in Group G, but it'll be good warm-ups for them, I think.
Is this a friendly tournament or is this a proper competitive? Like, are we talking She Believes or are we talking like Euros sort of stuff?
I would say it's essentially to build up the relationship between the Caribbeans and the Central American. It's more of just to build up that reputation, almost like I don't want to call them Nation League games between like a San Marino and Lithuania, but essentially it's trying to build those
right. Okay.
build up so eventually that you'll have a Haiti and a Costa Rica regularly going towards qualification, or they might end up in the interplayoffs in the future.
It just seems a bit weird what Lottie was saying about the whole. It's a big tournament just before a big tournament. I mean, that's two in. Well, we'll see how they do. But that if they do toil, shall we say, in the World Cup, you might point that thinking, was it wise to play, even if it was it's a lesser tournament, maybe even a friendly level sort of tournament, to play that amount of games before a big tournament? I don't know. It just seems a bit.
Yeah, it's a bit insane. Yeah,
with the fixture congestion as it is,
Yeah, no, definitely. I think what's really interesting about this team as well is with the preliminary squad, majority of them are from the local leagues. They've got in the Premier Division women, apart from 3 players in the Mexican leagues, 1's in the USA, and 2 are over here in Europe, in France and Scotland.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they play. That is Priscilla Chinchilla. She's another 21-year-old. I'm back into for one to watch this summer. She's had the Player of the Year in Scotland 2022. She's that striker you want with a powerful presence in the box. She will give defenders an absolute nightmare if she's given the opportunity to go on and goal. So I'm a bit excited because now we can watch the Scottish leagues on the BBC. So we'll get to watch a bit more of her play at Glasgow City. But definitely she's one to watch. I'm 21 years old. I know I'm backing a lot of young players, but it's the new talent you want to see in the World Cup and these kind of competitions. It's like, whereas you look at the big names of Alexia Putellas, Leslie Russo. Yeah, I was going to say Beth Mead then. I'm like, no, she's not going. Leslie, the names we already know from the European leagues, but this is someone from outside. Yes, we know we've got all our WSL Aussies and the French ones and all that kind of stuff, but it's these little teams that I get excited about because I want to see if there's any new players that I like. And at the moment, I'm backing Priscilla Chinchilla to cause some havoc.
So just quickly, this. Sorry, Adam, go, and then we'll go on to.
No, I was just going to say, listeners who obviously listen to our Group A coverage, the Philippines are in that group, and I know nothing about them, and I did an interview with Unnati, and she very passionately explained what the Philippines are, what to sort of expect. And it's the surprises, it's the ones you don't know. It's like I remember Italian 90, Cameroon. No one knew about Cameroon, but they sort of won the hearts and minds of the tournament and went quite far. Turkey in 2008, just out of nowhere, just storming up. And that's what we want. We want the surprises. We don't want teams just to turn up and then get rolled over. We want some shocks and surprises. Costa Rica.
I think it's Costa Rica the dark horse in this group. I'll be honest with you. I really do.
Well, I have a dark horse in the group, and it's not Costa Rica, but we'll get onto that later.
We'll just quickly go through these names then. So, obviously, some of these aren't going to make the final 23. I believe they made a squad of 30. Priscilla Tapia, Daniela, I'm doing it again. Daniela Solera, Noelia Bermudez, Genesis Perez, Mariana Benavides, Maria Paula Alicia
Elizondo.
Elizondo.
Thank you. I do apologise. I should have apologised in advance. Daniela Cruz, Lixi Rodriguez, Valeria Del Campo, Maria Paula Porras, Yasmi Rodriguez, Fabiola Villalobos. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Maria
I saw
Paula.
Villas Boas there.
Yeah, no, you got to be careful with that one.
Maria Paula Coto, Gabriela Guillén, Catherine Alvarado, Marila Campos, Gloriana
Villalobos.
Villas-Boas.
Once
Thank you. Don't know where the accent came from. Amelia Valenciano, Melissa Herrera,
yeah.
Kristin Granados, Yerling Overes, Emily Flores, Alexandra Pinel, Shika, Scott, Raquel Rodriguez, and we're going into the forwards now. Catalina Estrada, Priscilla Chinchilla, already mentioned by Lottie, Carolina Venegas. I think I've completely announced that one wrong as well.
Yeah.
Keep
going.
Sophia Valera and Maria
Yeah.
Paula Salas.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned,
Very well done, Matt.
a few that don't play in Costa Rica. A couple of them on here do say that they are still in Costa Rica, but not all of them. For example, Salas is playing for Monterrey in Mexico. You've got Raquel Rodriguez playing for Portland Thorns. I believe Yerling Overes is Sporting FC, which I believe is in the MLS, the NWSL as well. And Valera Del Campo is also playing in Monterrey, Mexico. Monterrey.
Yeah.
You should say, Matt, you are right. A lot of these players are in Costa Rica at home. They're not in the bigger leagues. But I think what you said, Lottie, about these chance of view players, absolutely right. It could be if Costa Rica players shine like this Priscilla Chinchilla player, obviously you've seen in Glasgow, but other players have moments like that. It is their shop window.
100%.
And who should say we don't see Costa Rica players in French leagues, Spanish leagues, even in the WSL? So
again,
yeah,
like I said to Matt on previous shows, this is also an opportunity for them to showcase their talents, and it's also a shopping window for every domestic club in the world.
Yeah.
Especially the European clubs, because we do shop big at tournaments. We've always done. So
absolutely.
It's, I remember, as long as everybody in every team is 100%, you could look at a new country to be moving to, or a new contract, new club. Could be anything. Anything could happen after this tournament for these individual players.
I remember 2017. So I remember 2017, Euro 2017. We played the Netherlands in semi-final. That was the first time I saw Vivian Miedema, and I was so excited when I heard that Arsenal were going to sign her, or in the process of signing her. And I was like, oh, I remember her. She was the one who scored against us in the semi-final. But that is it. You just need those sort of moments, and they won't get that coverage playing in their home country. This is their big stage. So best of luck to them. Hopefully, one or two get picked up.
No, definitely.
So, obviously, with Costa Rica finishing third in 2015, that's something that they're looking to improve on. They're going to look to try and qualify. I take it from reaction.
No.
No.
Sorry, it's not going to happen.
But I think we've mentioned that we're in for a few surprises. Could Costa Rica be one of them?
No.
I think success for them would be to get into the second round. It is a major success in itself. This group will be difficult. Getting a single point from Spain and Japan is going to be a triumph in itself for a start. Let's just get that out of the way.
We got a point from Spain last time.
Yeah, I know, but if you're getting a single point off them anyway, especially if they're chasing that top spot, is going to be difficult for me from what I'm looking at stats wise. I think the game they will probably potentially pull points is a Zambia game. It would offer. I feel like it offers their first World Cup win. but it won't be enough to get them out the group stage. I mostly say this because the majority of their team, again, domestic leagues, and that limited top player big game experience is going to be a major issue. Although their advantage is in Emilia Valverde. She knows her players inside out. She's been with them 8 years. She can play them to their strengths, but it's also a case of keeping them well organised. For me, they're going to finish third in the group. They're not going to make it out, I'm afraid.
For me, it comes down to the Zambia game. If they lose the Zambia game, they'll finish bottom of the group. And they've got to somehow take a point off one of Japan or Spain. And the only way I see them doing that is a low block and go for the 0-0 and frustrate them, like you see in a lot of tournaments when they come up against a bigger size, and they'll just be probably. And it may end up being a late winner for Spain or Japan that robs them of all 3 points and comments go, oh, they defended well. It's a cruel game of football, because it happens all the time when these contests come up. But it's the Zambia Costa Rica game. That's the one that will probably decide it. But I can't see them get out of the group. I'd love it if they did go to the group. I'd love it if loads of these teams, inexperienced teams. I mean, this is only their second World Cup. They don't have compared to Japan and Spain. They are rookies, early, lack of experience. I'd love it if they got out of the group, but I mean, that's probability. Unless Japan or Spain have a nuclear, we're talking like nuclear tournament. I'm talking like Italy in either 2010 or France in 2002. Like, not get out of the group. Actually, France 2010 as well. That's that matter. So bad they finished bottom, or England in 2014.
Oh no! Just when he's making a point.
Yeah. No, Matt. Where do you think they finish?
Oh, where am I? See.
And what would success be for them, do you think?
Finishing on a positive goal difference would be a good start, considering they finished on -1 and they missed out on qualification for the knockout stages. If they were to be able to be either Japan or Spain, I think that's a cherry on top for them, because it's something that they haven't done before.
That'll be a coup.
So
that would be a major coup. If they got a win against one of those, that would be one of the shocks of the tournament.
Such
which would be great.
Major triumph, as I said earlier.
Yeah, it would. And
sorry, Adam, you were in and then you're out, and now you seem to be back.
Yeah.
Are you back? Hello.
Yeah, back. Yeah. No, I'm saying
if
a result of that happened, it'd be a massive for the tournament.
Okay, so this one's going to be a lot of talking points, and we'll have to point out that Adam did a lovely interview with the amazing amazing writer, journalist and photographer that is Unnati. Once again, we thank her for so much for doing that video. That video will be out.
The Fan Insider will be out after this episode. The reason it is a separate one is mostly because it is a very in-depth interview Adam has done. And I have to say, I've had the preview and it's bloody brilliant.
So please don't forget to watch. There is extra content on the way afterwards. So we'll just give you some backspin on Spain. This is their third appearance at the World Cup. 2015 was their first ever tournament. They got to the group stage, but finished bottom. That group consisted that time around South Korea, Costa Rica and Brazil. In 2019, they faced Germany, China, South Africa. They did go into the knockout stages, but unfortunately lost to the US 2-0. So the question on everyone's minds, probably not at the top, let's say this, because I don't want to leave any thing. Was trying to let Adam and Unnati's lovely interview together. It's a brilliant Fan Insider. Can Spain take the biggest step of their footballing career in women's terms? They haven't won a knockout game. Just to put it into perspective, they haven't gone further than the quarterfinals of competition since the 1997 Euros.
Well, that's
right.
slightly different because that was a. Oh, sorry, Lottie, you were going to say something.
No, go for it, Adam.
I was going to say that they got to the semi-finals in '97, but that's only because the group stage fed straight into the semi-finals. It's yeah. Their tournament record beyond group stage is just absolutely horrific, which is perverse when you consider the talent that they got available to them. There's a real bizarre sort of counter logic to the. They've got Ballon d'Or winners, they've got Champions League winners. They play again. I've said this. It's all in the interview, folks. Be sure to tune in. But as I've said, I say many times here, they have some of the most technically intelligent, competent players. I watched Barcelona live, and I know Barcelona and Spain don't quite equate, but they're a lot of the players in Camp A play for Camp B, and they play at a level that no other team plays at. Well, but the year we were both lucky to go to Brentford, and we watched them play Germany, and it was great. They were great. They didn't win, but the football intelligence was all there. So it's really bizarre that they've never been able to take that step. And I mean, we'll see with Tottenham if they can actually do it.
Yeah, do you know what? I can't agree more with Adam there. I mean, they've got some of the most fearsome players of any nation that is in this World Cup. But it's just, I feel like it's sad due to internal politics that a large number of them will not be going. And I feel like essentially they are sending their beating, essentially, all because of Jorge Vilda.
Well, yeah. Again, this is so. I was going to say this is so weak. Sorry, Lottie, carry on. I'll put you to finish off there.
For me personally, over the past year, he has been the subject of a lot of criticism from a lot of highly regarded players, as well as the worldwide media outlets. As usual, they'll jump on any problems that's going on, mostly because of his coaching practices and like players are refusing to play for him because he's affecting their physical and mental health. I mean, the names that you're not seeing down on this team provisional squad at the moment of 30 players that will be cut down to 23, which I'm sure Matt will get to in a minute. You're not seeing the likes of Mappy Leon, Lucia Garcia, Leia Alexandre, Leila Ohabi, thank you, Sandra Panos, Patrick Guerrero, Claudia Pina. They're the names you expect to see on this list, but because of the coach, they're not there. And it does actually worry me because you look at the back line, those goalkeepers are woefully inexperienced. You look at the back line, I should say. There's very few veteran players now. They're all newcomers. You look at the midfield, they're a bit better, but they've got that leadership from Alexis Putellas, but they don't have the quality of Claudia Pina and Patrick Guerrero. I think I pronounced that properly. I probably butchered it. I do apologise, but it's kind of looking woeful. There is a few players. Yeah, there is a few players they have brought back, but whether they'll be in the 23 squad is a completely different story. I mean, the players that have come back is Ona Battle, Irene Paredes, Atina Bonmati, Alexia Putellas is one of them, and even Mariona Caladente. They're the ones who have come back. Whether they make the cut from Jorge is a different story.
So we will just quickly go into these players. So starting with goalkeepers, Cata Cole of Barcelona, Aline Leeds from Real Sociedad, Misa Rodriguez of Real Madrid, Anith Salon of Valencia. Into the defenders now, Ivana Andreas of Real Madrid, Ona Batil of, well, soon to be Barcelona, Olga Kamara.
She's there. She's signed. She's done. She's there.
Olga Kamara of Real Madrid, Leia Cordina of Barcelona, Jana Fernandez of Barcelona, Rocia Galvez of Real Madrid, Sheila Garcia of Atletico Madrid, Uhani Hernandez of Athletic Bilbao, Irene Paredes of Barcelona. You're starting to see a little bit of a link there between the Spanish teams, aren't you, at the moment?
Yeah.
Teresa Albarera of Real Madrid, Familia Benitez of Valencia, Atina Bonmati of Barcelona, Irene Guerrero of Levante, Jenny Hermoso of CF Pachuao. There's a team in Mexico. I do apologise. I'm pretty sure she didn't sign for that team when she started. Anyway, getting off track. Meti Oroz of Real Madrid, Maria Perez of Barcelona, Alexia Putellas of Barcelona, Claudia Zonosa of Real Madrid, and to the forwards now, Mariona Caldente of Barcelona, Marta Cardona of Atletico Madrid, Athena del Castillo of Real Madrid, Inma Guerrero of Sevilla, Esther Gonzalez of Real Madrid, Eva Navarro of Atletico Madrid, nearly there, Selma Porello of FC Barcelona, and Albert Redondo of Levante. So there's some exciting players there. I think you kind of mentioned it already, Lottie, that there's players missing from there, and this is one of the reasons why I asked that question to begin with, was can they go as far as possible if they've got some of these players. We've dropped. I take it Adam's just going to come back in a second, but you do look at some of those players that aren't making that squad. It's hard to watch because it does remind me of Spain in the early 2000s, where with the men's side, where they just couldn't get into it. And I look back to the Euros, they were so close to knocking England out, and then Alatoon goes and scores an equaliser to force it into extra time. Towards the start of extra time, Georgia Stanway scores that goal. That's 4% chance of going in, and they just backed off, and she had that, for her to hit it like that. We called that at the time on when we did that. That was the moment of the tournament. That's what got us to the final.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. I mean, as we said, there's all those big names are missing. I know I had my little rant just then. I do apologise, but there's just so many big players missing from that team, and it's just a shame that the federation doesn't want to acknowledge these players and what they're saying. I think I read an interview recently by Mappy Leon, and she went, "Yeah, she's pissed off. She's not going to the World Cup, but her mental health and her principles come first, and that just makes me admire her more as a player." Yeah. And if you've got more than 15 players refusing to play for you, there's got to be something wrong. Why are they not doing anything about it? I think that's the main question for me, and it's just a shame to see that, if I'm honest.
It was mad when I watched the Champions League final, and I noticed the race. I'm not going to see some of these players at the World Cup. Mad that these players who are winning the game for Barcelona, playing such great football, and I'm not going to see them at the World Cup because of this war they have. And it's not just with the federation as well. It's not just the manager; it's the whole hierarchy, whole structure, and it's been played out massively politically. And the problem is again, in the interview, but the impression I got was that the Spanish federation aren't going to back down. They're not going to go back and say, "Oh no, we'll concede." I mean, they have made some changes. That's why 3 of the players have come back. Atani Bonmati and Mariona Caldente. They've all been reintegrated back into the fold. There are other players actually who other players who have asked to go back, and their request has been denied. So it's all a bit of a mess at the moment. But yeah, well, I said there are some good players there still. I mean, Alexia Putellas. We're looking forward to seeing how she does back from an ACL. Whether she'll ever be fit enough to actually play 90 minutes and have a big impact, we shall see. But she's only ever scored one goal at a tournament, Putellas. That was against England. So
yeah, but she also missed out last summer a few weeks doing her ACL for the tournament. I was gutted. Well,
yeah,
I specifically bought Germany and Spain tickets just to go and watch her play for Spain. So, I mean, we weren't sitting very far from each other either at Brentford Stadium, were we?
We were. Absolutely. That was a really good game. I was excited for. Yes. What surprised me, and again, we discussed the interview, I was surprised at how blunt Spain were. Yeah. It was very weird to watch Spain have so much possession and yet couldn't manufacture a chance. And Germany they just basically they got their defensive mistake that Germany pinched off, and then they got a second goal to clinch it later on. Had all the play, but none of the goals. It was really weird to see.
No, 100%. I mean, when you look at Spain, you think of possession-based football. The dominance on the ball possession, the passing the ball quickly, the creating lots of opportunities. But I think at this point for this World Cup, they've got a lack of depth because of all the internal politics. And when you look across that field, you're going to be relying on these experienced players like Alexia Putellas in the midfield, Jennifer Hermoso up top, and then Irene Paredes in that back line. They're going to be so key, but it's also a case of looking at it. When are they going to hit fatigue?
And it will be 100%,
and that will be their problem. They might have they do have a 19-year-old wonder kid that we did see in the Champions League that scored an absolutely amazing, I thought, brilliant first goal for Barcelona against Roma in Salma Parallelo. She's won the under-17s, the under-20s World Cups. She's going to be looking to add to her collection. She's won the Champions League this season. She's fast, she's tenacious, and she's a good finisher. But I don't think this squad will get them over the line, if that makes sense.
I don't think they'll win the World Cup.
If they were a full-strength squad, I could see them going to the semi-finals, but I don't see them getting past quarterfinals at all.
This is going to be controversial. Even if they were full strength, I don't think they'd win the World Cup. Because I don't think they have the tournament experience of playing at knockout. They've never won a knockout game. They need to have. Look at England. Before we won the Euros, we had to get to 3 semi-finals before we eventually took that next step. Japan was a bit of a sort of a freak in which they did it all in one go, and it was amazing. It was a real underdog hooray.
Yeah, but they've had that yo-yo space afterwards.
Yeah,
if you look at it, they've had nothing since 2018. So they're looking for more silverware.
2019, yeah, 2019. They're the that 16 they've tailed off.
2018 because there's all the other Asia Cups and things.
Oh,
they
sorry, I thought about World Cups.
No worries, I'm talking about all international football. They've had nothing since 2018. Yeah. So they're going to be looking for some silverware.
So I mean, Spain. This is what we discussed earlier. I think Spain are inevitable. They should. It's like with the men's team. You said for years with the men's team, it was always like, why they got so much talent and then they never won anything. They always underperformed tournaments, and then they had 3 tournaments in a row where they just stormed it and won, like the World Cup, Euro, another Euro, I think it was, either side. So I think they're going to come eventually. Like Barcelona, we see now as a major European power. They only won their first Champions League when they beat Chelsea 4-0. Until then, they weren't a big European side. People were questioning, why is this great team not winning anything? I think they will win. I don't think it'll be this World Cup, but I think they will win a major tournament soon. And I think, and they would do it. It'd be a lot easier for them if all their players are playing for them, and the federation and the players were working together rather than against one another. So we'll see how it plays out. I think they'll get out the group, and I think they will win a knockout game, but that'll be it. They'll go out the quarterfinals. That's the way I see it. And if they do lose get out of the group and lose at the last 16, then the same questions will be asked, and it will be one of the great mysteries of football that this super uber talented, probably the best players in Europe, can't do it for their own country. It's really bizarre to watch.
I was going to say, who's the one player that you're looking forward to watching? Lottie, you already answered the question, and you kind of nicked my one as well.
I did jump the gun. It is Salma. Like, obviously, I've watched her through the Champions League, and like after a little bit of research, I found out she's won the under-17s and under-20s World Cup. So she's looking to add to her collection, and I'm quite excited. She's definitely one for the future. Her only 19 years old, but I'm quite excited. But you look at the rest of the provisional squad. The first name that sticks out to me, it is Alexia Putellas. You expect nothing less after coming back from an ACL. And obviously there's a lot of names you see from the WSL on that list and in the Champions League teams. But if anything, it is Salma for me, because she's just a bit of an unknown out of that whole team for me.
For me, it's Del Castillo. Because when in that game, England versus Spain, she changed the game Spain's way. I think she was the one who roasted Rachel Daly on the flank and set up the opener. She was an absolute Well, you'll just throw that in, for balance. And she was really exciting in that game. The only reason Spain chucked that is because of their substitutions, and they ceded the initiative back over to England. But she was the one who made the advantage make count and helped give Spain the lead. And I can't wait to see what she does in this World Cup. I'd love to see Mateus. I just don't know if she's going to start. I just think she's going to be a bench option. Just getting visions of when likes of Wayne Rooney coming into World Cups half injured and not playing into the last group game. We really needed her to get over the line, or David Beckham and his metatarsals. So I think Mateus will be a bench option. That there'll be in case of emergency, break glass and unleash her to salvage a win. Del Castillo is the one I've got my eye on. So we'll see how she does.
Oddly enough, my one, and I don't really want to say her name because I've got her in my five-a-side, but Misa Rodriguez, it'll be interesting to see how she does because she is the number one at Real Madrid at the moment, and it's big shoes to fill. She did okay during the Euros, but at a World Cup, it's a higher level. You're playing against other teams that have either been in a similar situation to yourself or even higher. Take Japan in this group. So it'll be interesting to see how she responds to that, and let's see how she does, because I think she's going to be disappointed with how her Champions League campaign ended up. They finished third in the group, so they didn't even qualify for the knockouts. But anyway, we'll move on to Zambia. It is their first World Cup ever, and just to put this in perspective, the men's have never even qualified. They haven't even come close. So this is a huge moment for Zambia as a whole, as a country.
100%. I've got another stat for you, Matt. They were the first established women's team in Africa as well. So this is massive for them.
So you're getting all the stats today and little bits as well. They did actually play Ireland quite recently over the last weekend, and they lost 3-2 to Ireland. How they qualified for the tournament in itself is huge. They finished third place in the Cup of Nations last year, so that meant they got automatic qualification. It means they didn't have to go through the continental playoffs that was going to be held in New Zealand. Their most capped player at the moment is Grace Shanada with 28, but their most goals is their captain Barbara Brenda with 22 in 10 caps.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, although this is their first World Cup, they were in the Tokyo Olympics in 2021.
They were.
I remember a wicked scoreline for the Dutch. The Dutch scored 10, and then Barbara Banda got her hat trick, if I remember rightly.
Yes.
Which was a really good game.
And Viv and Banda both got hat tricks.
The Viv scored 4 actually.
Oh, 4. There we go.
She
got 4.
So
scored her.
Yeah, no, I did double check that to see if she got her hat trick or a little bit more. But yeah, no, in that they obviously drew 4-4 against China, and they only lost like 1-0 against Brazil. So for they do have goals in them, but whether they let as many in is a different story.
Well, yeah, you can't win a game if you're going to concede 10, can you? But yeah, double hat trick. That's pretty impressive. I'm guessing, therefore, she's your player you're going to be watching.
No.
Okay, then probably you've probably gone for the one that I'm going to go for then.
Well, you have to wait and see. I want Matt to tell us what the teams are first.
Yes. Oddly enough, I think this is one of the longest teams.
Yeah, they've got 35 players.
35 players. Good luck, Matt.
Yes, I do apologise to anyone who.
This should be a new game, by the way, for those listening in. Is you get to take a drink for every name Matt pronounces correctly, and we'll see how well we do, or a point.
Oh well, you should hear me pronounce them. My starter kicks in, so you'd empty the bottle by the time I finish. But Matt, go on, let us know who they are.
5 goalkeepers, just a bit odd for you to take 5 goalkeepers in a professional, but okay, whatever. Catherine Musanda, Eunice Sakala, Hazel Nali, Shatite Munsaka, Letitia Lungo. In defence, Margaret Bellumi, Martha Tembo, Lush Omo Mwemba, Agnes Musesa, Esther Siamafuko. Yeah, that could have been a lot worse if I knew.
Yes,
I
I know. I saw that. I thought,
apologise.
oh, that's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, good luck to all the commentators out there. That's if she does go.
Going to be up there with Kuntz in Euro '96.
Yeah. Pauline Zulu, Esther Banda, sorry.
Panda.
Judith Soko, Jacqueline Cole.
And Cole.
It's a bit weird because you've got Cole but with a K instead of a C.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes, it's still
awkward. Mary Malenga, Vast Piri, and then into midfielders, Comfort Selimani, Mizoli Zulu, Irene Lungo, Helen Shanda, Everine Susan Katongo, Mary Willoughby, Susan Banda, Rhonda Shilesi, Priscilla Chilufa.
Chilufa.
I'm not doing myself any favours here, am I?
No.
Try not to laugh at you. Adam, no laughing at Matt. Let's just get through this list. You've got this. Come on.
You're almost there. Keep going. You're almost there. Keep going.
No, I can't even do that one without trying to swear.
Avel Chitundu.
Thank you, because otherwise I would have said the other word that would have been.
No. Keep going.
Jamora, Mapepe, Oshumba, Oseki, Limjani, Regina Chanda, Helen Mabongo, Rachel Nashella, Grace Chanda, Rachel
Kunananji.
Close enough. Barbara Banda, as I've already mentioned before, and Mylan Malenga is just.
Right, we got there. Well done, Matt.
Hey!
Standing ovation from all the people.
Absolutely, well done.
Only kidding. It's a huge list. That's going to be cut down a lot by 30, as Lossie's mentioned, 35 players being called up. So, anyone that stands out to you?
Obviously, Barbara Banda, 22 goals in 10 games internationally. She unfortunately was ineligible to take part in the AFCON in 2022 due to high testosterone levels, which was a bit odd for me personally. You've also got Marjorie Bellamy, the right back. She's skilled, she's strong, she's everything you want in a right back, and she is experienced. You've also got the likes of Rachel Kundananji. She's tearing up in Liga Referee with Madrid Club de Femenino de Football. 9 goals in 15 games. She's having an absolute wicked season over there.
Yeah.
Adam, anything?
That was my player. So that was my player was Kundananji. But the big thing about her was that in Barcelona's last game of the season, before they went to the Champions League final, she beat them with brace. Barcelona's only defeat of the season. It almost went unbeaten, but she stopped them in the tracks. It was a bit of a shock. So yeah, she and I think Barbara Banda. She was the big story of one of the big stories certainly of the Olympics. 50 got top scorer 10 goals. Barbara got two hat tricks against the Dutch and the Chinese. So I'm really excited to see if she can bring her scoring boot to the World Cup as well. At the moment, I believe she plays in China. One thing, if she has an electric World Cup, team, if it's a club who desperately need goals, I mean, do we have? I don't think we have that many African players in the. So it'd be nice if
No,
we could diversify
we don't.
a bit
Not
further.
that I could name of.
Exactly. So which is mad. So yeah, if let's say a club will practically bring a striker in, I think she'd be a very good addition. So let's hope she has a good World Cup
No,
and gets gets a few goals.
I think my one to watch in this one is completely different. It's not a striker. It is Esther Banda. She can play as a centre back or in the midfield, very, very comfortably, no problems at all. And if necessary, she has a really good long range shot on her, and it does usually find the net. So she's definitely one to watch for this tournament from Zambia.
So with Bruce
Excellent,
Mwemba at the wheel, shall we say, he's going to have a tough job on him. First ever World Cup, as I mentioned, but as you've already mentioned it as well yourself, Lottie, they did have the Olympics, so they have some experience with tournament. What would be something that they can look back on, maybe as the milestone for them? What would be ideal if I take it we're all saying that Spain and Japan are probably going through.
Yeah, at this point, for me at the moment, their biggest strength is their goal scoring. If they manage to outscore their opponents, like I said earlier in this group, it will get interesting. Because they don't just use one avenue going down one side of the rings. They've got a variety of avenues they go down to create chances and actually put them away. It's a case of cracking the Spanish, Costa Rican, and the Japanese defences and how they get around that. The only problem with them, for me, is a leaky defence. Not many defenders have that high level experience in this team, and that is scary for a first time country, but they need to learn from it, if that makes sense. I think success for them would be putting goals behind the best defences in the world and preventing less going in. They're going to narrowly miss out on making the knockout stages, but they will be solidly relying upon that solidarity of the back line and the goalkeeper, and I just don't see them getting out of the group at all. I think they will finish fourth.
Adam?
I just think Spain. I know we've got, but I think they'll be looking at this Zambia team like a lion that's just in a wounded gazelle on the Zambian plane, if you will. They're still thinking, we could get some goals here, and I think Japan will be the same. I think they'll think they could get some goals as well. That I just don't think that they conceded 10 goals to the Netherlands in the Olympics. I mean, we see those score lines in the qualifiers when England play, I don't know, Lithuania or Luxembourg or not
North Macedonia.
I mean, North Macedonia, exactly. I mean, the only comparison I can make is when the USA took on, I think it was Thailand. I think it was last tournament. Was it 13-0? And he just thought, it's a bit of a kicker. If there's going to be a double figure score line, I think it could be there. But what in their favour is they've got those great forwards. So we could be seeing like 10-5 score lines, which would be great to watch. But yeah, it's if they can beat Costa Rica, they'll come third. Otherwise, they'll finish fourth. And I think if they got some goals, got a point maybe out of it, or if they got a win, that'll be something to take home. But getting out the group, no chance. Sorry.
Okay, then. So I think it's time to just quickly go over that. Who have you got? Who's going to finish first and second in the group, and who's going to finish third and fourth?
I'll go first. Spain first, Japan second, and I've sort of been flip-flopping all pod on the last two. Because of their defence, I'm going to put Costa Rica third and Zambia fourth, purely on from a defensive perspective.
I've already given my answers throughout the pod, but I've got Japan, Spain, Costa Rica, and Zambia.
Yeah, I think I kind of have to agree. I think Zambia and Costa Rica will finish fourth and third respectively, and then it will be whether or not Spain and Japan. Maybe it's just goes down to goal difference between Spain and Japan. In the end, whoever can score more goals against either Costa Rica or Zambia might be the difference between first and second in the end. But just before we leave, we have got the five-a-side. So just to explain the rules, you have 4 countries. You have to have 4 of the one player from each nation, and then you're allowed 1 extra one. So, for example, you're allowed it has to be 1 from Spain, 1 from Japan, 1 from Zambia, and 1 from Costa Rica, and then an extra player from one of the other 4 countries in that group. So, who I think we'll go to Adam first for your five-a-side, unless you can't hear me.
So,
go on.
I can hear you.
Are you ready?
Ring down here. Yeah, ready. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good. Go for it.
Wait. Yeah, I was going to go for Sandra Panos in goal for Spain until I realised that she's on the list and she can't play. Well, she chose not to play, so that kind of blew my my idea out of the water. So I've gone Rodriguez in goal, who's Spanish, and then I've gone because I just figured out with Barbara as my striker.
And Matt, you muted yourself there, mate.
Amateur mistake. It was bound to happen, wasn't it? Yeah, I didn't hear your midfield or your defence. Do you want to just quickly go back past that, Adam?
Oh, sorry. So just go through again. Rodriguez in goal, then Daniela Cruz in defence, Mateus and Hasagawa in the midfield, with Barbara Brand as a striker.
Lottie?
Misa Rodriguez in goal from Spain. In defence, I've got Saki Kumagai from Japan. And in the middle of the block, I've got Alexia Putalas. And then I've got 2 forwards, Priscilla Tuntila and Rachel Kudananji up front as well, from Zambia and Costa Rica.
So we've picked two same Spanish players, and then we've gone completely different everywhere else.
Yep.
So mine, I think we've all gone for the same goalkeeper, Missy Rose.
She's the most experienced out of the lot. So.
Exactly.
I've got Mocha Minami and Junendo with Raquel Rodriguez in the midfield, and then Banda up top.
Nice, Barbara Banda. Wicked.
So that is all for us.
Oh, sorry, Matt, before we run off. Guys, don't forget to put your five-a-side and your predictions for Group C in the comments below. Really want to see what you've got for us. I've had some wicked feedback from a couple of people. Well, from Joe. Joe, thank you so much for commenting every video we've done so far. Really do appreciate it. Can't wait to see what you come up with next. Anybody else wants to join Joe and put their five-a-side and think you can take me, Matt, or Adam on, please put it in. And maybe put together a team that probably beat ours.
Although Miss Rodriguez is going to have a fun night if she's playing in goal for every team at the moment. Yes, everyone's socials. So Adam, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, you can find me at Adam Salter 4 if you really want to do that, but I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, but that's where you can find me.
And Lottie?
Lottie at underscore, what am I talking about? Goodness sake. Lottie underscore AWFC on Twitter. Again, I am still looking for people to come on and talk about their teams. So if you have a team that you particularly follow very closely or just really enjoy watching in Group F, G or H, please drop me a DM and then we'll sort out a fan insider.
And mine is at MattLR28 on Twitter. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and always, as always, make sure you put some comments. We always want to hear back and feedback or hear about your five-a-sides. And next on the road is our very own England, so we'll all be singing Vindaloo, Sweet Caroline and all that jazz along with it. on
I'm not
next.
singing Rinderlude. Speak for yourself.
Oh, okay then. Well, sing whatever you like, Adam. That'll be your next. That'll be your next
thing.
edition.
Next
So be prepared. Then again, you're hosting that one, so that's even more fun.
Oh wow! Well, okay. Well, I look forward to that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all from us at Vic Acres Wonderland. Whatever you do, enjoy the day, evening, nights, and thank you all for watching and listening. Good night.